Hey everyone! Today we're going to be talking about essential elements number 56, otherwise known as down and up. This exercise is a little bit different from the ones we've done before. Instead of just working with our open string and our bow, we're going to be looking at our left hand. We're learning three new notes: E, first finger, F sharp, which is high 2, and G, which is our third finger on the D string. Before we do that, let's warm up on our open D. So together, let's play 4 open D strings quarter notes with full bow. With that same motion in mind, let's try to practice our E on the D string, which is our first finger in first position. To find that note, you're going to push your hand all the way back to the nut. Your thumb is slightly behind your first finger. For a lot of beginners, we'll have a tape on our first finger to kind of indicate where the first position is. It can be really helpful to get those. If you don't have those in the beginning of your practices, it will make things go a lot easier. But if you don't have those, that's fine too. We'll use our ears and our hand to judge our position. Make sure that your wrist is not touching the instrument at all. This can lead to injury, and it can also lead to flexibility issues when you're playing more difficult passages. We call that pizza wrist, like someone's holding a pizza, and we don't want that. You can use your right hand to help guide your wrist, relax, and so that your wrist is in line with your arm. Place your first finger down slightly ahead of your thumb, and let's play 4 notes on E. Notice how my bow arm stays the same, but I'm putting pressure on my first finger on the D string to play E. Now keep your first finger down, and we're going to keep building up with our second finger. This is going to be high 2, meaning that your second finger or middle finger is going to be high and not touching the first finger. Find your first finger again in E. Leave some space and play F sharp second finger high 2 above. Here are 4 notes of F sharp. Because the second finger is high, they're going to be touching the third finger, which is our last note that we're going to learn, third finger G on the D string. Place your first finger on E again in first position, build onwards with our second finger, and then place our third finger right next to it and you'll find G. Make sure that your fingers are touching each other. Your second and third finger are touching so that the intonation is correct. It may be helpful for you to leave all your fingers down in the beginning to see what your finger and your hand shapes look like. Here's the same thing from the other angle. Now let's play another exercise, starting with our open D and building up. So the finger pattern is going to be 0 for open string, 1 for first finger, 2, high 2 for your second finger, and 3 for your last note G on the D string. Notice from both angles that my thumb is relaxed and still, and my wrist is also relaxed and away from the instrument. Now that we have that, a scale going upwards from our open D, let's try from the top down. So the fingering will be 3, 2, 1, and then open. Remember to go as slow as you need. And here's the same thing from the other angle. Now that we've completed our warm-ups, let's move on to exercise 56, down and up. But before we use our bow, let's just learn the notes with pizzicato. For pizzicato, you're going to put your right thumb on the corner of the fingerboard and use your index finger to pizz. Whenever you're ready, take a look at the first measure of our music. We have 3 notes. 2 notes are the same, and the last note is not. So the first 2 notes are G, which is 3rd finger on the D string, and the last note is going to be F sharp, so it's going to be high 2. Your fingers should be touching, and there should be a rest at the end of your measure, so don't forget to count that. You can use that rest to help you loop the measures over and over again until you feel comfortable moving on to measure 2. So let's do measure 1, and we'll loop it on pizzicato. Once you feel comfortable with that, move on to measure 2. We have 3 notes again. The first 2 notes are the same, but this time it's your first finger. So it's E, E, and then the last note is going to be F sharp, your high 2 again. So let's loop measure 2 over and over again until we feel comfortable moving on to measures 3 and 4. Measures 3 and 4 are quite tricky. It's a longer passage, so go slowly, take all the time you need, and don't be afraid to keep practicing measures 3 and 4 before you use your bow and practice the whole thing. Now let's try playing the whole thing with our bow at BPM equals 50. It's going to be slow, but be patient with it, and once you feel ready to go a little bit quicker, then feel free to change your metronome to BPM equals 60 and above. 1, 2, 3, 4. The most important thing to remember when playing this exercise is not to lift your bow between measures 1 and measures 2, but for that rest, to make sure to stop your bow on the string and continue with up bow without a retake. Let's try the same thing again, exercise 56 at BPM equals 60, so a little bit faster. Now I'll do it from both angles so you can see what my left hand looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. That's it for exercise 56. Remember to go slowly, practice without the metronome and with pizzicato first. Happy practicing!